Now you're a level even higher. Shine on, be a man, right into the sun. Stay strong, you can make it if you know inside you have the answer. Shine on, time to play. Game on, nothing left in your brain. Very close to victory, the finish line for you and me. Never give up the path to your destiny.
Hey guys, Samurai here, and previously on the Pokemon Sword and Shield series Champions Road, a freak earthquake happened due to a time-space rift. This ended up splitting up the group. Meanwhile this happened, Piers and Rose had a conversation. This was a conversation for a mission that him, Leon, and Raihan along with Peony have to go on. Now when we catch up back to Ash, he looks around to see Chaser or Lane. He can't find them and he's stuck in a very snowy field. He sends out Corviknight to see if he can find him, only to see... Now, Peonia is her ever-extroverted, friendly self. She actually does a bit of flirting with Ash, and Ash plays along to a bit. But Ash asking what Peonia is doing here, as this is far off the path to Sirchester, she says that she got caught up in the earthquake as well while she was traveling with Rinto, and they're about to meet up with Lucas to have a training battle. Peonia recommends that her and Ash travel together, as it's clearer to say in numbers in this type of area. Ash clearly agrees and sees nothing wrong with it. However, this is when they're attacked by wild Pokemon. These wild Pokemon are different, however. They go straight to attacking them, and they don't even wait for their Pokemon to be sent out. These Pokemon are different. They're kind of from a different era, to be honest. The Pokemon they're attacked by are an Ursaring and a Scyther. These Pokemon are quite ferocious and attack with little hesitation. They clearly send out their Pokemon to counter this, and the battle is a bit harder than usual. These Pokemon are much more adept to combat and are a bit faster, however they manage to beat them just barely. A bunch of other Pokemon go to attack them, and they can't seem to get their composure in for a second as it's relentless. They end up running away, and this is when we get to see a Gigantamax Bolt. A Gigantamax Bolt is what hit Sandaconda back in an earlier episode that caused him to get the Gigantamax factor. This ends up hitting Ash's Corviknight, and Corviknight goes through a change. Corviknight gains a Gigantamax form, as this thing gives him a Gigantamax factor. Corviknight can't control itself for a while. It goes berserk, destroying everything in its sight, not being able to control itself. However, Ash calls out to Corviknight, and due to Ash and Corviknight stop together and their bond together, Ash is able to get through to Corviknight and see his friend once again. He ends up returning Corviknight to its Pokeball, as a Gigantamax form isn't really useful in this kind of scenario, but they continue and press on. This is when they run into Mars. Now, before we go into that battle, two other strangers, due to a time-space rift, end up in our time. These two strangers being Ray and Adaman. Adaman has no idea where they are. Last time they were in the Galaxy Expedition headquarters, and now they're here. Ray not knowing where they are either, but he recognizes the area. It looks like it's around Sirchester, as Ray is actually originally from Galar in this continuity. But he says that the Sirchester expansion wasn't going to be built for another 50 years. This clearly confuses Adaman as well. Both trainers have no idea what's going on, but it's short-lived as they are attacked by wild Pokemon. While Ray has experienced multiple time-space distortions, this one's a bit different, as it has some Galarian Pokemon in there. These Pokemon are in a frenzy, and they actually run into a couple of Alpha Pokemon. This is when Adaman has a conversation with Ray, right after they beat some wild Pokemon, saying that he hopes no noble Pokemon were brought here, as they could easily cause much more destruction in this time, as no one knows how to deal with them or the proper channels to deal with them. Ray agrees, and this is when we cut back to Ash and Peonia. Ash and Peonia are having a battle against Mars. Ash already recognizing Mars as a member of Team Galactic. She basically explains the reason why the time-space rift is happening is due to her and the rest of the admins of Team Galactic wanting to free Cyrus, and they think this is the best way to do it. This is when we see Dialga and Palkia fly through the air, but this time they have Dynamax energy, which is why the results are so catastrophic. It results in time and space becoming fluid, and while Ash is wondering who could have freed them and who had the money to bail them out of jail, she doesn't continue on after that and just sends out her Pokemon. She sends out Purugly and Golbat. This is when Peonia decides to join Ash as well, and she sends out Lapras along with Ash sending out his newly caught Phalanx. Their battle is incredibly dynamic, however Mars is absolutely ruthless and doesn't hold back for a second. Golbat is giving Phalanx a bit of trouble, but due to Lapras' Ice type, she's a great addition here. They end up working really well as a team, and they end up being able to deal with Mars. However, this is when Ray, and along with Adamant, thinking that this person is their friend from the past, Arezu, immediately go to defend Mars, wondering why they would be attacking her if she did nothing wrong. Of course they're going to back up their friend. This is when Mars, not knowing why they defended her, but playing to this, acts all innocent and acts like she was the victim in the situation. This is when we get a battle between Ray and Ash. Ash, being clearly confused, sends out Raboot along with Grizzile. And now, this is when Ray sends out his two Pokemon, being Dartrix and Ursaluna. Ash is incredibly confused, as this Ursaluna, he's never seen it before. It kind of looks like an evolved version of Ursaring. When Ash goes to take out his Pokedex, he doesn't have a chance to, as Ursaluna goes straight for an attack. Ash, easily dodging this due to his athleticism, tells Raboot to counter. The battle is incredibly dynamic and close quarters. This battle has no side holding back, and each side is in it to win. However, this is when Adamant takes notice of Mars' smirk. He knows that's not really like Arezu, and then he immediately goes to tell Ray that they've been on the wrong side, almost realizing this immediately as he's really good at reading people. This is when Ray apologizes to Ash, and along with Ash apologizing to Ray, and this is when Mars makes her escape. Now, while all four trainers are having an interaction, talking about how they got here and where they're from, this is when Ash brings up the fact that Ray looks like Lucas. Now, Ray is confused by this, as Lucas was the name of his grandfather, as he doesn't know who this Lucas person is that they can be referring to, as his grandfather has been dead for quite some time. However, their conversations are very short-lived, as this is when the noble Pokemon, being Lilligant, comes to attack. Now, while Adamant thinks he can get through to Lilligant as he's a part of the Diamond Clan, it doesn't work, as Lilligant is incredibly disturbed by the area she's in and isn't in the mood for talking. Adamant saying that the only way to beat her is through a battle, but she's been incredibly charged up with power due to the time-space rift and isn't so easily taken out. This is when Ash recommends they do a raid battle. Peonia agrees to this. While those two have no idea what a raid battle is, Ash gives a quick explanation. They catch on quickly, and then they each send out a Pokemon. Ash sends out Dreepy, Ray sends out Ursaluna, Adamant sends out his trusty Leafeon, and finally Peonia sends out Arctozolt. While they send out their Pokemon, Ray is incredibly surprised at what Arctozolt is. It's a Pokemon he's never seen before, along with Adamant saying that he's heard of fossil Pokemon, but nothing like this. The battle they have against Lilligant is incredibly tough because Lilligant's speedy nature, due to the boost of the time-space rift, gives her a massive advantage over our characters here. However, this is when we see Dreepy going absolutely ham with its new moves and its dragon typing. But Lilligant is no pushover and ends up pushing Dreepy to its limit. However, this is when Dreepy evolves into Dragalope. Now that it's a Dragalope, it's a lot faster and a lot more agile. It easily battles Lilligant, and due to Ash's knowledge of Lilligant and how to battle certain Pokemon that are powered up due to the totem battles in Alola, he's easily able to deal with Lilligant. While Ash goes to catch the Pokemon, this is when Adamant stops him, saying that these Pokemon cannot be caught. However, this causes Lilligant to calm down. Luckily, it's revealed that Adamant actually has the Pokeball for Lilligant, as he owns all the noble Pokemon of the Diamond Clan, just so they can make it easier in case any of them escape or if any of them cause trouble. Now, while they say that it would be best to travel together, they all agree. So now we see the group of Ash, Ray, Adamant, and Peonia traveling together to find their friends and find a way out of here. This is when Ash tells Ray about what Mars told him. They clearly see Dialga and Palkia fight in the sky one more time, except the Pokemon look different. Dialga becoming more non-confirmed with his legs, and Palkia looking more horse-like. This is when Ash says this is not what they used to look like, Ray and Adamant are very confused, as they don't understand that Pokemon have always looked like this. This is when it comes to Ash. Are they from a different time? when he asks what year they're from, they say a year like 1850. This tells Ash everything he needs to know. They're not from their time, but they're from the past. The characters can hardly believe it themselves. However, Adamant says it makes sense. The Pokeballs that they use are completely different. It makes sense that due to a time-space rift, they've been brought into the future from a different universe. It makes sense to Ray, but Ray says he has to find the others like Akari and Irida and Volo, who are all cut up. When Adamant asks about Kamado, he says that he didn't see where Kamado ended up and didn't know if he ended up in the time-space warp. So now this is the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this first part to the time-space arc. We have 2 more episodes coming out the following weeks, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Samurai out.